Hello, I'm back for a second round of playing Paranormasight. To recap some of what we played last time. Oh gosh, I don't remember anybody's names. You know what? Let me get into the game because that'll probably help make it make sense. A lot happened last time. So we're playing vocalized through the character Shogo Okie, and Shogo woke up kind of mentally disoriented in park, and let's see, yes, I do have my persons of interest file. So he woke up with Yoko, and she has been researching how to bring her dog, what is his name? Ogopogo, back to life using the rite of resurrection. And while we were in the park, suddenly she seems to see something horrifying and drop down dead. So Shogo took it upon himself to become the new curse bearer of the object that Yoko had found for the rite, and began collecting what are they called? Soul dregs from other curse bearers by killing them, so that he hopefully could bring Yoko back to life himself using the rite of resurrection. But once he was at 100% capacity, he dropped down dead. So there's this question of why didn't the rite work? What's going on with the soul dregs? Is he missing something about how this is supposed to work? And then this guy, where is he? Oh, the storyteller. The storyteller, who's kind of like our narrator, asked us how many people Shogo had killed, and technically it should have been 5, but he said that he had only killed 1 person. So now there's this metagaming question of what degree of control does Shogo actually have, and I think it's probable that we, the player, are the ones who killed everybody else. So there's maybe this kind of Undertale-esque kind of thing happening there. Alright, so we hit a natural conclusion for Shogo, so now we're gonna jump back into this story. So I think we start here, and we're gonna do something different from the first attempt that we had. So we're gonna come back here, I guess. Right? Because that's going to lead us to something different. So we are going to resume here. I think that's the option we want to take. Oh, we have to pick what thing do we do? Let's come here. I think maybe that's a useful thing. Wait, hang on. I've got another question. You mentioned the rite of resurrection. Are you looking for that too? Does it have something to do with the 7 mysteries of Honjo? Ooh, you're sharp. I could cut my finger on you. To tell the truth, it's actually the other way around. What do you mean? Well, I started off searching for the rite of resurrection, but along the way I realized that I needed to investigate the 7 mysteries of Honjo first. I see. So about the connection between this rite and the 7 mysteries. Putting together everything we've talked about, my guess is that the original stories behind the 7 mysteries, the true stories, are the key to finding the rite of resurrection. And that's why you're here searching for one of them. Do I have that right? Wow, 10 out of 10. You're proving to be quite the capable assistant. Wait, since when's I your assistant? Anyway, this is all just hearsay, but some say that what led to the 7 mysteries coming to be was the rite of resurrection itself. Huh? Don't the stories come from the Edo period? Thought the rite of resurrection was supposed to be the other way than that. Right. It seems like that Onmyoji from the Edo period rediscovered the ancient art. Okay, so I have read all of this before, but I'm trying to reacclimate to decide what it is I'm supposed to do. That old manuscript I mentioned with all the details on how to use the rite, apparently it was written in the Edo period. Oh, right. I never told you its name. The manuscript is called the Record of Fates. Whoa, what a name. It speculates that the secret of the rite is hidden within the 7 mysteries of Honjo. So now the 7 mysteries are the hot new trend. Among who? This whole thing's starting to sound pretty questionable. Come on, Remember what I said about the pursuit of the unknown? Starts with belief, right? If you're looking for a way to bring someone back from the dead, does that mean you've got someone you want to bring back? Okay. I want to save my voice. I'm going to skip through this. But she's going to talk about her dog. How he died. She wants to bring him back. Not sure it even works on dogs. Okay, then he sees something. Something strange happens. I feel eyes on my back. I can't move. Is there something behind me? Whatever it is, we can't see it. Yoko, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Stay with me. Something got Yoko really rattled. Is calling her name really going to help? I'm already yelling as hard as I can. Shouldn't I look for what's causing this? Yoko, hang in there, Yoko. Look at me. You're going to be okay. It's all right. There's nothing there. That didn't work. Okay, but we unlocked something new. Shogo cries Yoko's name in a desperate attempt to wake her as she lies unmoving on the ground. Will his pleas get through to her? Probably not, but we'll see. Okay, well, I mean, it's improvement. She's not dead. Huh? Oh good, you're awake. What? Are you okay? You were so rattled and confused, I thought you'd really lost it. Do you feel dizzy? Have a headache? Are your humors off balance? Wait, what did you say? I think I've heard that before. You're the one who said it earlier. Oh right, that might have been it. My humors were off balance. What? Back there, you ended up like that because of your humors? Yeah. I've heard that at this age your humors being even a little bit off can be fatal. I'm glad you're back to normal now. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause you so much trouble. But I really don't remember what happened. Sounds like what happened to me. Maybe this place is dangerous somehow? What? Are you backing out? Yeah, it just doesn't feel safe to me, and I'm worried about you. Let's call off today's investigation. Come on, I just started feeling back to normal too. Nope, not happening. Go home. I'll even pay your cab fare, okay? I ended up having to force a still protesting Yoko into a taxi. Even then, she still wouldn't stop complaining. So to placate her, I promised I'd search the park on my own for a little while longer. Okay, so if this, I don't know if it's a timeline, but if it is a timeline, that's quite a difference. Alright, worried about Yoko after her bizarre incident, Shogo decides to call off their investigation. Okay, got it. Yeah, it's 5 a.m., so this is 4 hours after the previous incident. In further news, before dawn today, a police officer on patrol discovered a man collapsed in a Sumida City park. The man was taken to the hospital, but his death was confirmed shortly after. The music set to this, truly hysterical. Investigations are still underway, but police suspect a connection to the other unexplained deaths found in the park. Wow. I guess that's a wrap for the story. We're going to see our storyteller in just a second, I'm sure. I wonder if this is the timeline, because in the previous play session, the storyteller accidentally leaked us a news report about the death of Shogo Okie. And I wonder if this was that timeline, like he had accidentally showed us something that we're not supposed to see in that order. Okay. The Rite of Resurrection. Interesting. Well done in your efforts thus far. This brings Shogo Okie's story to a close. Ah, but this is not the end. Far from it. In fact, this is where the story finally begins. The routes of the three protagonists have now been unlocked. Harue Shigima, a woman who lost her son when he was kidnapped and murdered. Tetsuo Tsutsumi, the chief inspector of the 1st Investigative Yi Division, who is looking into the death of an officer in the line of duty. Yako Sakazaki, a high school girl who wants to bring her friend back from the dead, a girl who died in a suspicious suicide. Each of them is burdened with circumstances that leave them no choice but to seek the rite of resurrection. Following these three storylines will reveal the full nature of all that is occurring. With that, please enjoy the continuation of this tale. Alright, so we have new branches. So this is done, supposedly, and there's no way for Shogo to live. He dies in both of these routes. So I can choose between Harue, Tetsuo, and Yako. I feel like I learned the most about Harue, so I could play her route because I at least just know a little bit more about her. Tetsuo would be the one I know the next about, and Yako the least, because Shogo just immediately killed her. So I'm just gonna go in order that they're displayed here. So let's start here. When the son of Harue Shigima was kidnapped, a botched investigation by the police resulted in the child's murder. 1 year later, Harue has hired a private investigator to help resolve the unsettled case. Late at night, while speaking to the detective at her home, something strange suddenly appears. Interesting. So we did see him in her story. Kill them. Kill them. The flame bearers. Kill them all. Interesting. You have acquired the power of the curse stone, the haunting clappers. You can use it to kill those with fire or a fire starting device on their person. Press the use curse button to set your target alight, which makes sense from what we learned from playing as Shogo. Oh, do we have limited? No, it's the same. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to check this out again. Alright. Kills by burning one who is in possession of fire or a fire-starting device. Red, red, red. Everything is dyed crimson. My home is burning to the ground. It's hot. So hot. I must call for help, but I cannot speak. My throat must be burned up from the smoke. No, I think I'm already on fire. That's right. I'll just use the clappers. Clack, clack. Is anybody there? Clack, clack. Why is no one coming? I'm going to burn to death. How did it come to this? Oh, right. Her. It must be the work of that vixen who appeared suddenly and enchanted my lord, that witch. Those hauntingly cold eyes had my lord dancing in the palm of her hand. Perhaps I was also taken in by her. How many innocent people did I lure in under our orders? This must be karma, the sound of a heavy bell. It feels like my head will split open. All right, the evening bell. That must be why nobody can hear the sound of my clappers. I've got to do it louder. Clack, clack. Spooky. A murderous impulse seeps into my soul like thick black tar. Now, kill. Can you hear it, curse bearer? You who so strongly desires the right. Kill them. a.m. Shigima Mansion reception room. Back with me, ma'am? Can't say I understand what just happened, but it certainly seems to have put you in a good mood. This might be the first time I've ever seen you really smile. Sweet dreams? Not exactly. Alright. Haruo is a housewife who resides in a manor near Shumoku Bridge. Her 11-year-old son Shuichi was kidnapped and murdered about a year ago. The death was a result of a mistake on the part of the detective assigned to the case, a mistake which enraged the kidnapper and had him cut off all contact with the police, leaving no room for negotiation. The incident was covered up, and Shuichi's killer remains at large, leading the aggrieved Haruo to call on the services of private investigator Richter Kai to uncover the truth. The Shigima family came from a line of samurai who built their residence in Honjo during the Edo period. They assumed important positions in the police force following the Meiji Revolution, thereby protecting their family's elevated status. Even today, many in the Shigima line work as police bureaucrats and senior police officers. Haruo's father sits in the upper echelons of the National Police Agency, and her husband, adopted into the Shigima clan through an arranged marriage, is also a highly respected agency official. However, as her family prioritizes work above all else, it wasn't long before Haruo's marriage grew cold. Though she wants for nothing, she is isolated from her neighbors and withdrawn from society. Seeing her son grow into a young man gave Haruo a purpose in life, but it was cut short by the kidnapping incident. Following the incident, Haruo spent many days in a deep depression, breaking into sudden fits of shouting and wandering around in the middle of the night. Her cheerful, loving disposition faded away, and she took to making snide remarks at her husband, which only further soured their relationship. A few months ago, Haruo's husband was transferred to another area for work, and now rarely returns home, with Haruo left to live in the large, empty mansion alone. As a housekeeper who has been with the family for a long time comes in to take care of all the housework, Haruo has nothing but time on her hands. We still don't know anything about Richter, but I assume that's going to change eventually. No. Not dreams. Sounds like something I might want to hear about. A private investigator I hired. A friend told me about him. They said he's not very well known, but he's good at what he does. When I first visited his office in Ota City and saw how he was dressed, I could hardly believe he was a detective. But after talking to him for a while, I changed my mind. He says some strange things at times, but he seems like the reliable sort. Alright, so we got a little more information about him. The eccentric man that Shogo Okie ran into at Honji Bridge. Richter is actually a private investigator with an office in Ota City, Tokyo. After taking on a request from Haruo Shigima to investigate the unsolved kidnapping and murder of her son, he gets caught up in the events surrounding the rite of resurrection. Once a police officer, Richter was racked with guilt over the police's inability to help all those in need, and quit the force to start his own private investigation firm. However, his soft-hearted nature leads him to take on too many cases and has put his office in dire financial straits. How he is still in business is a mystery, with some whispering that a wealthy patron is keeping him afloat. Richter studied alongside Detective Jun Irio at the police academy. Somewhat surprisingly, given his outlandish clothing and mannerisms, Richter excels at covert investigations and tailing his targets. He proudly refers to himself as an investigator extraordinaire, though that only ever succeeds in impressing himself. Richter's biggest source of happiness is nuzzling his pet female albino parakeet, Ernestine, which he keeps in his office. He also enjoys collecting mockingbird stickers, a popular line of merchandise featuring birds inexplicably dressed as delinquents, and can frequently be sighted searching around town for them. While out and about, Richter typically leaves the office and, more importantly, Ernestine, in the care of Amamori, a junior high schooler who volunteered to assist Richter after being involved in a previous case. What a character. Richter Kai's private investigation firm is Kamata Ota City. Originally, Kai thought to give it a simple name like Kai's Detective Agency, but upon hearing that people are more likely to pick names listed at the front of the phone book alphabetically, he decided to pick a name starting with an A. Thus, the Azure Heron Agency was established. However, it is questionable whether the heron, a bird of somewhat ominous significance, is an effective symbol for attracting customers. Even his own assistant has referred to the name as confusing at best. After all, rather than an azure heron, Richter keeps a white parrot as a pet and dresses not in blue but mostly in white. If there was a symbolic connection to be made here, it has surely been lost on all but Richter himself. A private investigator, also known as a private eye, is a detective who operates their own agency. Although there are no formal qualifications necessary to become a private investigator, many are retired to police agents or detectives due to the similarities between the work involved. At a glance, private investigation firms and inquiry offices might look similar, but they carry out different types of investigations. Inquiry offices specialize in conducting credit checks on businesses, while private investigators are generally involved in tailing persons of interest and gaining information surreptitiously. Let's have a think. My heart is still racing. This is it, my chance, at long last. Let me bring you up to speed. We were in the middle of a chat when you suddenly started spacing out, and the whole time you were grinning to yourself like you just won the lottery. Care to tell me what that was all about? Well, where to start? Interesting. Very interesting. So the haunting clapper's curse echoed appeared out of nowhere. Told you how to perform the rite of resurrection and gave you the curse you'll need to do it. Have I got that right? That's right. I can't believe she just actually told him. This is a crazy story. So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe. But I guess I have it now. Or I have to now. I saw the curse stone appear in your hand myself. It looked like it popped clean out of the air. With evidence that clear, there's no denying that there's some supernatural force at work. Alright, so this is the same. Let's keep talking. I don't think you quite understand. Oh? This isn't about evidence, and it isn't about belief. It's more than that. I know it's real. The moment the curse appeared, I knew everything before it even said a word. It was already there in my head, as clear as day. You just knew, huh? It was etched into my soul along with the curse echo's resentful memories. So I can feel it, what it was like. Dying like they did, hundreds of years ago, wreathed in flame, writhing in pain as my flesh blackens and my blood boils. I can feel it. All the agony, all the rage. It fills me with bloodlust. I think I need to kill someone. Anyone will do, just as long as they're carrying fire. I see. That could be a problem. You think so? From what I know of you, I was sure you'd see it as an opportunity. Stronger the desire to resurrect someone, the stronger the urge to kill. That's how it seems to me, anyway. Good grief. Talk about a spanner in the works. I say we take stock for a moment, remind ourselves where we've come from and where we're going. That might be a good idea. That's what you hired me for, ma'am. To look into your son's kidnapping last year. To uncover the truth behind the abduction and murder of Shuichi Shigema. Oh, yes, I remember. They never did find the one who did it. That's what I'm here for, about today, in fact. Kind of you to let me drop by so late, by the way. I've been turning over every last stone, and I've come up with a grand total of 1 lead. So you said. As far as the police are concerned, it's a cold case, but I've managed to make some headway. I remember. You were just about to tell me. Alright, so here's the kidnapping information. A kidnapping and murder case that took place in Honjo Sumida around 1 year ago. Haruo Shigima's son, Shuichi, was kidnapped on his way home from school with a ransom being demanded that same evening. Initially, the kidnapping was thought of as a simple extortion scheme. But when it came to light that the Shigema family was closely tied to the police, and Shuichi was in fact the grandson of a senior official, it was quickly assumed that the perpetrator was acting upon a grudge against the police force. The kidnapping was treated as a direct attack against the good name of the police, and a large-scale investigation was launched that used the best equipment available to trace phone calls. This made it the more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit, losing the public's confidence. The culprit grew cocky, relentlessly mocking the police force. After 3 days of failure after failure, Haruo reached a breaking point. Spurred by concern for her son, she resolved to hand over the ransom money as fast as possible. But her husband and father, who held the prestige of the police in high regard, refused, saying they would not let the criminal win by giving in to their demands. The increasingly frantic detective assigned to the case lost his temper when the criminal called to give an ultimatum, causing the culprit to never make contact again. Another week passed, and Shuichi's body was found floating in the Sumida River. Shuichi's death could be largely ascribed to the police's incompetence, but this was ultimately covered up with stringent media embargoes. The investigation never closed, but the case has long grown cold. Oh, he was such a cute little boy. The son of Haruo Shigema. He was kidnapped and murdered 1 year ago. His body was discovered floating in the Sumida River. Shuichi was a conscientious, brave young boy who was determined to protect his mother, Haruo, amid his father's frequent absences. He dreamed of becoming a police officer and displayed diligence and an impressive sense of responsibility from a young age, likely due to being raised in an extremely strict environment. Born in the early 70s, he spent his days immersed in various activities and studies, including playing piano, learning the abacus, taking English lessons, and training in kendo. Shuichi's tendency to put other people's needs over his own meant he died without ever telling his classmates how much he longed for them all to go out on a hunt for mockingbird stickers. Oh. Alright. You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what, why don't I tell you what I've found, and then we can make a decision. All right. I suppose there's not much point going over the kidnapping itself. No, I'm very familiar. Then I'll leave that for the files to cover and just confirm a few things about the case. The police traced the culprit's calls back to... let's see here. Northern Oyoko River, here in Sumida City. It's quite a wide area. That's right. In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from. But it was almost certainly the same location that Shuichi was being held captive, since Shuichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. Northern Oyoko River is quite a distance from Shuichi's normal school commute. Factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house, it's likely that he was abducted by car on his route home. Maybe, but... exactly. Shuichi was a clever boy. He never would have gotten into a car with a stranger. That's right. I was very firm about that. I know he understood too. I even saw him warning the other children. It's possible that they forced him into the car. The only issue there is there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. You can't bundle someone into a car with that many students around and not be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So, did they target him at some other time, or somewhere away from his usual route? Both of those seem a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off? The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper must have gotten lucky. Well, why not turn the problem on its head? The kidnapper managed to convince Shuichi to get into their car, but how? The only thing that makes sense to me is if they were somebody that he would have a reason to trust. It was a police officer, wasn't it? I think that makes sense. There has to be a reason why they've given it the detail that he wanted to believe a police officer. And if the police are the ones who bungled this case, it being one of their own just makes sense. A teacher, perhaps a relative, or somebody else that he knew. But all of the adults Shuichi knew had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly. They did, huh? No one throws numbers at a problem like the cops. But what if it wasn't someone he knew? Or rather, what if the culprit disguised themselves as a police officer? That would explain why he didn't find them suspicious. The Shigima family has close ties with the police, after all. He would have had a reason to trust them. You might be right. But surely that couldn't have... Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point, after all. They're meant to be a visible deterrent against crime. Okay. She's still thinking about all that. The telephone. This mansion has a private line. A fax machine. It can send images to other places along the telephone network. I don't really know how it works. Most houses don't have one. I rarely have a use for it. An old hanging scroll. I don't know who painted it. It's been hanging here since before I was born. An arrangement of flowers. We bring in someone to do it. I don't even know what the flowers are called. Alright, let's go to the third option. The Rite of Resurrection, huh? I read about that in an occult magazine the other day. Apparently some old books showed up recently with all the gory details. And they say that the rite can be found somewhere in Honjo. I remember the first time you told me about that. It felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope, real hope, for the first time. Ever since that awful day, I've wondered, what if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I just paid the ransom? Not a day goes by when I don't think that if I'd done something differently, Shuichi would still be alive. You can't blame yourself, ma'am. It was the culprit's fault, not yours. Though I know that won't help any. Grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're after the right? Guess I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. I can tell how much he meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this right is the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul. Is that a problem? If it comes to that, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you. Oh, that's a shame. A shame, huh? That's all? I'd thought if I'm going to be competing with other curse bearers, then your detective skills might come in useful. You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that? I think any parent in my position would happily kill for a chance like this. That's so, is it? Dear oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? Good question. Alright, so that's the same as it was earlier. But here's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children. Even kids who've been warned about stranger danger often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. Besides, Shuichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong. That's right. Wait, surely you can't mean... Now you're getting it. If, say, a young woman approached Shuichi asking for help, what would he have done? If someone like that said they were lost and asked him for directions, would he have gotten into a car? He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children. You could certainly argue that kind of attitude is outdated nowadays. But if Shuichi believed it, then we might have something here. Then, you think the culprit was a young woman? But it was a man's voice on the phone. She might have been an accomplice, or maybe she didn't even realize she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hasn't come forward. She herself might not realize she had anything to do with the case. So the question is, did anybody see Shuichi speaking with a young woman on the day of his disappearance? See what I said about people's biases? It goes for witnesses too. And I figured that maybe if I started asking new questions, I might get some new answers. So I spent my day asking around Shuichi's school route, seeing if anyone had seen something. And one man thought he had. Do you mean he saw it happen? Well, I can't say that for sure yet. It turned out he wanted something from me, so he asked if we could talk in private. Several hours earlier. Alright, this should do. There's no one around. We can speak in confidence. Excuse me. What was your name again? Jonochi. Got it. Well, Jonochi, I'm all ears. Just so we're on the same page. You're a private detective investigating Shuichi Shigima's kidnapping. Do I have that right? Of course. What else do I look like? How should I know what a private detective looks like? Yeah, forget it. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger. I need your help. You'll excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Let me ask you straight. Who is trying to kill you? A student called Michio Chiraishi. Interesting. A schoolgirl, huh? Sounds like you've been naughty. It's nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but I saw what she did. Michio Chiraishi. I saw her kidnap Shuichi Shigima. Come again? I saw her talk to him on the street and lead him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but then he went missing. She murdered him. I'm sure of it. Or at least she's got something to do with it. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get with me. But it's true, you've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell anyone? Well, you see, if you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you. I couldn't. She told me she'd kill me if I spoke a word. You're telling me a schoolgirl had you scared for your life. So you've been sitting on that all this time, and you think she's coming for you now that you've spilled the beans? Yes, that's it exactly. I'm begging you, don't let her get me. Arrest her. I'm telling you, she's a demon. Well, you seem to believe what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified? You don't know what she can do. She'll curse me. Curse you? I'm sorry, but you're losing me here. It's true. Her house, Forget it. Why do I even bother? You seem dubious enough to believe me, but I should have known you'd never understand. Enough. I'll find someone else to help me. Hey! And that's about the long and short of it. I can hardly believe it. At the time, I thought his mention of curses was just crazy talk. But I'm starting to see that there might have been more to it. Then, if we can just find that girl... Curse or no curse, if she was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, then there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His full name's Kohei Jonochi. He's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida. A teacher. Then this schoolgirl is one of his students. I think that's very likely. Okay. At last we've got a lead. Hopefully it'll be the breakthrough we're looking for. If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other curse bearers. I only need you to find them. I won't be party to murder, ma'am. Not even for a client. I mean, if he's saying not even for a client, I don't think he's gonna budge. I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn. Let me say, though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out. What do you have in mind? Well, how about stealing someone else's curse stone after they've filled it with soul dregs? If that was all you were after, then I could lend my services guilt-free. If the other curse bearers want to kill each other, that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee a stolen curse stone will work, but we can worry about that later. Well then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a curse stone using my curse? Would you disapprove? That would void our contract, ma'am. Just warning you now. My. Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about that curse of yours? The haunting clappers, was it? It's one of the 7 mysteries of Honjo, if I remember correctly. That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here. I think I'm sure I remember hearing that. In that case, my money would be on all the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. The curses make their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere. That sounds sensible. And if I remember correctly, Your haunting clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person, is that right? That's right. In olden times, wooden clappers were used to warn people of fire. I'm guessing it punishes those who don't heed the warning. It seems like a good curse to have. It's simple, straightforward, enough to use. Although it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table. You really think it's that good? Target can't do much to throw it off, and it has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on lighters, too. To slip one into your target's pocket, say the condition were already fulfilled before they even knew you're there. They wouldn't even know that it hit them. Maybe I won't have to actually use it. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what I said. Threats could work, although without any proof it'll come down to how convincing you can be. If only you could use the curse and back out at the last second. At the last second. What an interesting idea. I have a lighter right here. We could try it now. That's an interesting proposition. But maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig. Oh, I see. You're an odd one, ma'am, if you don't mind me saying, and I don't think it's just the curse. You flatterer. As for what we do next, first of all, I think you should stay indoors. Try not to do anything spontaneous or outside of your normal routine. Right then. Have you decided what you want me to working on? Finally I have a lead. I need to know what happened to my son. Your wish is my command, ma'am. I'll focus all my effort on looking into the kidnapping. Although, something just occurred to me. You can't investigate the matter at night, can you? At least until the sun rises. Could you search for the other curse bearers? All right. I see how it is. Well, I'd be happy to help. Odds are good that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness will be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before morning comes. So, it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up, and I can start asking questions, I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. I'll even try and find Miss Shiraishi as part of the bargain. Thank you. That's more than enough. Alright, well, we've done everything. Father bought one as soon as it hit the market. He likes to have the latest gadgets. Unlike the latest models, there's no remote control. We've had it for a long time. Back when it was new, we all gathered around it and marveled at it as a family. But with Father and my husband being away so often, it quickly fell into disuse. Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Goodness, you made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. He put it up just before... Well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down. Let me take a closer look. I knew it. It's Head Honcho from way back in set number 1. This is a real collector's item. Excuse me? Don't tell me you've never heard of mockingbirds. The what? They're the hottest new craze. Cute little birds dressed up like rough and tumble delinquents. I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you. The best part is, nobody knows who made them. They just started showing up around town. Soon enough, they'd won everybody's hearts. Story goes that they're made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind in specific locations. No one knows when or where they'll show up next. They're basically an urban legend of sorts. To think one would turn up here, of all places, is a good sign. I'm sure of it. Oh. Well, that's nice. Oh my gosh, there's like a little mini game to find all of the mockingbirds. That's really funny. Okay, so there's 20. Be in the right place at the right time in Hangzhou, and you might be able to find them all. Approach the net. Wow. Okay, I don't know that I'm going to get all of these, but I will keep my eyes peeled at least. A stereo unit with separated speakers designed for home use. My husband insisted on buying one, even though he isn't one to listen to music often. Alright, now then. I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find out anything new. You stay here and keep a lookout. Alright. There's no telling what kinds of curses you might find out on the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can help it, and try to be ready for anything. I will. Well, if that's all, I should be going. Alright, so this happens the same time that Yoko dies in this timeline. Despite having obtained the curse, Haruo is determined to use the right by stealing curse stones. Let's do it. 1 a.m. It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened, but he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. What's this? A newspaper? It must have fallen off the chair. Why wouldn't I read it? I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. Ooh. It looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it made my eyes water. Eventually people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then, although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. All sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom is past its peak, we're moving into the era of large corporations. It's about 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height, and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. It seems like only yesterday that people were flocking in the arcades to shoot aliens, but now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bookseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage. But now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. Country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. With more people in the running than ever, the competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce, though. Hi, Arya. So you being here means that you finished your seed? How'd it go? The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore. It'll only remind me of him. That's quite a lot. Wait, are there more? Oh my god, how long am I going to read this newspaper? I don't really watch much television. It feels as if we all got all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. Father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. Okay. If there's one thing Honjo never wants for, it's horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anybody I knew. So much. Oh no. I remember, like, when Shin used to have face cam on with his old laptop, it would destroy his frame rate as well. 6 minutes after Hitman. Did you come in second? If it was after Hitman? Because I think last time I looked at race time, he was first. 204. I mean, it's still not bad. I don't read the news anymore, but since last year, it brings back bad memories. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Suicide at local... I better get an achievement for reading all of these newspaper articles. Suicide at local high school. Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think. Or maybe it was something about exam pressure. But... no, this can't be right. Her name... Michio Shiraishi from Komagata High School. Oh, okay, so the thing that I had found out before you joined the stream is that this girl, Michio, a private investigator is pretty sure she might have been involved in the kidnapping of the current narrator. But it turns out, I guess, from this newspaper article that she's dead. So that's interesting. But now, more on the economy. Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. The city center going to be nothing but apartments before long. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like another world to me. Okay, almost there. I hear the new big thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds, mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have such short shelf lives now, with how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. It's young people who are leading the way, with their modern worldviews. My generation will only fall further behind. Okay, now the comedy boom is over. All the comedians are flocking to other genres. Look at all these... the cult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Is that it? Oh, thank goodness. Okay, let's have a think. Michio Shiraishi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week. But that means Mr. Janochi was terrified of someone who already died. Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't he call? I haven't left it off the hook, have I? I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I've made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. What timing? That must be him. Hello, Shigima residence. Wow, she read the newspaper for a whole hour. Or she's left since talking on the phone. That might make more sense. Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here to Komagata Bridge. Richter, There's something I need to tell you. Funny. Was just thinking the same thing. We are on Komagata Bridge, over the Sumida River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night. Anything else to look at? Nope. It's polite for him to go first. Please, go ahead. Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the 7 mysteries looking for curse bearers. And I think I've found a few candidates. This piece of shit. First, a tall man I ran into Kichibori Park. I asked him for directions, trying to probe him a little, but he turned the questions right back around on me. And he was out of there the second he figured I wasn't what he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I'm about 40% sure he's a curse bearer. Then, there's the middle-aged guy I saw on South Warigesui Street. There's no question about this one. He had one of the curse stones in his hand. He had a nervous air about him, too. It was clear he was up to some shady business. Gathering soul dregs, I'd bet. He'd make a good target. Next up is a pair, a young man and woman, I saw around Ryokoku Bridge. This time, the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about. He backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often, looking for kindred spirits, would be my guess. Though it didn't seem like they were quite working as a pair. Gathering soul dregs in a group might be a decent idea if you can make it work. But with things being how they are, it's gotta be hard to find folks one can trust. They've got brass, though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out. Last is 2 detectives I've seen sniffing around. The police are involved. Not necessarily. A body turned up in a local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the 7 mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. And if they're sending in detectives from the head office, then something's gotta be up. How do you know where they're from? Let's just say that when you're in this business, there are some faces you get to know. Anyway, that's everyone who's caught my eye. You found all of them in so little time. I really did hire the best. It's all in the name, ma'am. Richter Kai, P.I. No, wait, make that Richter Kai Investigator Extraordinaire. My, an Investigator Extraordinaire. Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself? You bet, Investigator Extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit. Well, that aside... The middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising, am I right? How are you doing today, Sus? Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. Seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, there's still others we don't know about. I say we hang fire and see how things play out. Once more bodies start showing up, that'll get the pot nice and hot. Once it's boiling, our chance will come. There's something I need to tell you. What's up? Well, that girl, Michio Shiraishi, the one who was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, that's her. Well, she's dead. She's what? Well, I will have a break at 10 as usual. So if you don't slip off to get food by then, I will be pausing at that point so that I can feed my kitties and then you can feed yourself. The student who committed suicide well, that's 10 my time. That is. I know you're not in the same time zone. The student who committed suicide last week, that was her. I heard something like that happened. Never got the name, though. Talk about bad luck. We finally get a lead only to find it's turned into literal dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Jinochi was so shaken up. He said she was going to curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave? It seems like we're back where we started. Not necessarily. The teacher knows something, I'm sure of it. At the very least, I put money on him having something to do with Miss Shiraishi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her. I see. And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping. In any case, I think I've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch. A hunch. Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess? I don't think I have a guess. It could be he's more involved. It could be something tells me he knows more. Nope, I couldn't say. Let's see what he says. I'm just an ordinary housewife, not clever enough for all this. You sure? I'd had you down for sharper than that. That's flattering, but I'm afraid you're mistaken. Anyway, that's enough speculation for now. The truth will out in time. Right now, I think we need to have another chat with Mr. Jinochi. I've already said everything I wanted to say. Okay. Standing around is the last thing I want to do right now. This is my only chance to bring back my son. I can't afford to fritter it away. Okay, but there's like nothing else to do here, right? Oh wait, the river. The Sumida River. The water is filthy and horrid, but at night, when it's still, it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it. Right, should have guessed. This is where they found him after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been, how cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since then, and I prayed to the river to give him back, to give me back my son, day after day after day. You know, in olden times, people believed rivers marked where our world met the next. So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Honjo. All their fear and revulsion accumulated there and took root. But then, the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Meiraki, and just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. And as it turned from farmland into a town, the people surrounded it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways. Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told. They were, but that's not all they were for. Their other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built upon the far shore, and stop it leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too. So if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife? Exactly. That's why the rite of resurrection is here, rather than anywhere else, I'm sure of it. And it's probably why the seven mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. I guess that would make this spot we're standing now right over the water, the border between life and death. If there ever was a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned praying to the river. That might have done more than you think. Is that supposed to make me feel better? Just thinking aloud, ma'am. Well, it's a nice thought. Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you? Go ahead. It must have been about 20 years now, when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumida River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage, industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy, and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. And one day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate's hand. What? It was almost a miracle when you stopped to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left would have an identifiable scar, and that they could tell it'd been a murder from the blade marks on the bone. Wait, are you talking about the Nejima murders? So you have heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time. I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. Okay. A notorious case from over 2 decades ago involving the murder of a female high school student. It first came to the attention of the authorities when part of a human left hand was discovered floating in the river. Testing revealed it belonged to a missing female high school student, as it appeared to have been severed deliberately. The police launched a murder investigation. Yeah, that took such a... I know we've been talking about, like, kidnapping and stuff. Not kidnapping, Tommy. But that was such, like, whiplash. She got super serious. I was not expecting dead girl, to show up. Okay. A large-scale search of the river was organized, but the highly polluted state of the water made this impossible. Visibility was poor. The stench was intense. The divers quickly fell ill. They succeeded in recovering only the victim's head, and what appeared to be part of her leg, before the search was called off. At the time of the incident, the Sumida River was as polluted as it had ever been. Neither fish nor shellfish could survive in it, eventually causing the annual fireworks festival to be called off indefinitely. Over the course of the search, the police discovered a number of unidentified human bones. This caused a stir among the public, as several other young women had gone missing in recent years in the Tokyo area, and it was feared that they may have fallen victim to the same fate. Forensic technologies at the time, however, were not advanced enough to determine the identities of the deceased, and so the police were unable to open any inquiries. Not the fireworks! It's like, there's dead cats and dogs floating in this river, and people are upset about the fireworks being canceled. Due to the overwhelming lack of circumstantial evidence, the investigation ground to a halt until a hitherto unrelated individual came to its attention. During a questioning about a separate incident, Fumichika Nejima, a 36-year-old shop owner with no relation to the victim, divulged details about her that had never been released to the general public. An investigation into his background was conducted, leading to his arrest. Nejima testified that he had snatched his victim from the street and confined her in an underground storeroom of his shop, which also served as his living quarters. He chose for her no special reason, but simply decided she was an opportune target in seeing her walking alone at night. After keeping her locked up for several days, he restrained her, sewed her mouth shut, and severed her fingers and toes with a box cut. This is getting too grim. While she was still conscious, as she screamed silently behind her sealed lips, he proceeded to her wrists, her ankles, her elbows, her knees, working his way inward slowly and methodically. His victim constantly wavered in and out of consciousness. Her ordeal continued until she died of blood loss. Nejima dismembered the rest of her body and disposed of it behind his home in the Sumida River before cleaning his storeroom and returning to his everyday routine as if nothing had happened. The brutality of his actions shocked the nation when they were eventually reported. Once apprehended, Nejima readily divulged the details of the murder, but was less willing to explain his motive. When asked, he would only break down in tears, saying, "I don't know what came over me. I know it was wrong." In the end, the police could extract nothing more from him than expressions of remorse. Although the efficiency of his methods strongly suggested that he had committed similar crimes in the past, no corroborating evidence ever came to light. Nejima was sentenced to life in prison at his first hearing. The sentence was imposed with no appeal from the defendant. That was darker than literally anything that has been in the game so far. Fumichika Nejima. I have thoughts, but I'll keep going. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just parting around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but they only ever found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to the sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill. A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny. Everyone figures the river's filthy already, so one more piece of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself. That's right, which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking. Or so was the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from homes to make it in the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. The little revelation about his capture feels like a possession curse. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Because him saying, like, I don't know what came over me, like, I knew it was wrong, but it still happened, it makes it seem like he could have been a curse bearer himself. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. You see, back then, if you chopped a body up into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again. You saying what I think you're saying? They arrested him shortly after, Fumichika Nejima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it, it couldn't have been his first crime, and people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end. Experience, but no other. Yep, exactly. I don't know if there's a specific one of the 7 mysteries that might fit his profile, but that would be interesting to look at. The river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. So really, the river has been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least, that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting? Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. One-sided reads story. That one at least involves a woman. Oh, let me look at that actually. This rogue. A rogue who fell for a woman, persistently chased after, attempted to win her heart, enraged by her indifference, brought a dagger to the canal and attacked. Cut off the arm and leg off one side of her body, threw them into the canal. Yeah, actually that, there's a lot of overlap there. So that is highly likely. Still, If I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Nejima murders. But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand. The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Nejima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. I have nothing but awful memories of it. Okay, so that should be done now. Is something wrong? Not really. It just struck me. It's been 20 years since the Nejima murders. So it has. Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing. Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Only if they're found to show remorse and the desire to reform themselves, of course. That's right. I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society. I hear they've been trying to fix that recently, matching inmates with jobs and accommodation. Oh, really? They keep an eye on them, of course. Make them report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' records a secret from everyone but their employers. They even give particularly notorious criminals new identities, so they won't be recognized in the workplace. My. The way you put it, it's like you're saying Fumichika Neishima could be out on parole right now, back in society under a new name, with nobody any the wiser. It's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few months back. I don't know if that was Nejima, but our discussion just now did bring it up to mind. I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something too. What was it? I was passing Komogata High School a little while ago and I saw someone. A janitor, I think. And I could have sworn he reminded me of Fumichika Nejima. Oh. He looked a little different after 20 years. Much thinner than I remembered too. I told myself I was just seeing things. But perhaps it was him after all. So, what next? Big question now is what the rest of the curse bearers are up to. Luckily, the Sumida River is a good distance from any of the 7 mysteries. It's unlikely the other curse bearers will come all the way here. I can finally have a moment to think. I see. All right. Cannot currently progress any further. Select resumes, try again. Okay, so we've reached a stop point for her plot. So I'm gonna take my kitty break to feed my cats, go to the bathroom, and then we'll come back and jump into Tetsuo's story. Let me change to my be right back scene. Okay, Her Royal Highness Princess Pumpkin has finished eating, so that means I can come back. So we're gonna hop into Tetsuo Tsutsumi. He is one of the 2 police officers we met back in Shogo's timeline. So I think this was about 1 a.m. So this was 12 a.m. So we're going back to maybe a little bit earlier. Tetsuo Tsutsumi, Chief Inspector of the Metropolitan Police Department, 1st Investigative Division, is investigating the mysterious death of a fellow officer. I forgot that was his story. He visits the scene of the incident, the former Yasuda Gardens, with his subordinate, Jun Erio. Let's find out what happens. 11 p.m. Hey, boss. Forensics is all done. The crime scene is clean. The other officers have all gone home. It's just us now. The park should be able to open back up tomorrow, like nothing ever happened. I doubt it'll get many visitors after everything that's happened. You'd be surprised. Lots of people love that kind of thing. I bet they'll be lining up to get in. Occult stuff is really popular right now. Did you not know that, boss? Sounds stupid. Well, it's not exactly rooted in science, but if ghosts really did exist, we could just ask them who the purpose. Somehow, I doubt that'd be that simple. Oh, but I've heard that high school girls are really into the spirit board thing these days. Supposedly, you can call on spirits and talk to them by using a board with letters on it. Wouldn't that be something? You can try it out yourself if you're so interested. Hey, that's not a bad idea. Let's give it a go sometime, boss. What now? Stop messing around. You really think we're going to solve this case by moving a coin across a scrap of paper? Sounds like you know all about it. We've got to be open-minded. What if that's how police work is going to be from now on? Don't make me laugh. I'm not convinced he's laughed a day in his life. Okay. Due to the occult craze, divination boards have become popular. All one needs is a coin, a piece of paper. Ask a question to call on a spirit. It will move the coin and answer. I think it's basically like a Japanese Ouija board. Ritualistic nature of its usage can cause self-hypnosis or autosuggestion, leading to hallucinations or symptoms similar to spirit possession. Many schools ban these spirit boards after there are several cases of students sneaking into schools at night, in addition to stories of people having seizures when using the board. It's always seizures when it comes to school bans. Listen up, Erio. You can't go blaming the death of your buddy on something like the occult. I don't care if it was ghosts or the occult or what. Whoever or whatever it was that did this, I'll get them. I promise you that. Well, you've got the right attitude, but we don't even know if this is murder yet. Biases weaken our judgment. Get too fixed on one thing and you stop seeing everything else. Aye, aye, boss. So, now that we've finished investigating the scene, let's review what we know. Now? It's getting late. I figured we'd head straight home from here. Oh, you have no idea. It is only 11 p.m. You two are going to be at this for hours. Come on. We've got to go over all the info we've gathered. What better place to do that than here at the scene of the crime? We can soak up the atmosphere. Soak up the atmosphere? The hell is there to soak up? You must be really into this occult stuff if you get off on being in a place like this. Wait. You mean being somewhere like this doesn't get your blood pumping? No way. No. Don't turn this around on me. I'm not the weird one here. Cripes. Ugh, fine. Let's get this over with. Aye, aye, boss. So, early in the morning yesterday, a staff member found the victim collapsed here in the park and called the police when they realized he was dead. While there were no obvious external wounds, the fact that he was a police officer and the evidence of a struggle means it's likely that this was a murder. The Sumida office sent it over to us since it involves the death of an officer, and we were tasked with the investigation. What we need to do is figure out what happened and whether there was foul play involved. I think that about sums things up. That was barely any information. The victim is Hajime Yoshimi of the Juvenile Division of the Sumida City Community Safety Bureau, 27 years old, single. He mostly dealt with cases involving juveniles and education. His rank was senior police officer. You knew him well, didn't you? What was he like? Yes, we were in the academy together. We still went out for drinks together every month or two. He could be a little rowdy, but he was like a big brother to us all. He was kind and cared about his friends. For better or worse, he wasn't the uptight type of cop. The man always showed empathy, and I heard he was popular with the locals for it. He treated each and every troubled kid he met with compassion. He had a great track record when it came to rehabilitation. Sounds like we lost a good one. Yes, we did. Truly did. I knew being a cop was dangerous. I knew something like this could happen, but it's never easy when it happens for real. I know the feeling. He didn't seem to care much about climbing the ranks, but he was at the top of our class. The only problem was he took on so much. He had the most unfinished paperwork, too. I always felt we'd need an unusual guy like him to help us solve all our unusual cases. All right. He was once a rebellious gang member. Demeanor suggests he was a man who was rough around the edges, passionate, loyal, looked up to as a big brother, sloppy paperwork, left behind a fiancé whom he had been dating since high school. Wait, didn't it something? Why do I remember it saying he was single, but now it's saying he had a fiancé? Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Don't worry. You're plenty unusual yourself. Me? I was the most normal of my classmates. Besides, the real weirdo among us quit the academy a long time ago. There was one even weirder than you. He doesn't seem that weird to me. As for the cause of death, we won't know until the autopsy is done. From what we've seen, though, it appeared to be some kind of acute heart failure. But since he had no record of chronic illness and had no visible wounds, it's possible that poison or drugs could have been involved. Dying in the middle of the park like that, it certainly seems suspicious. We found signs of a struggle at the scene, as well as footprints belonging to an unidentified individual. We've got people trying to identify those prints. If we can find who they belong to, we might be able to figure this whole thing out. Yes, wouldn't that be nice? That were the kid in the bit. The only things Hajime had on him were his badge and his wallet in his pockets. So we can rule out a mugging. Though there probably aren't many people who'd think to try mugging a cop as big as him. I've also heard that Hajime got into a fair few fights in his younger days. He started judo once he became an officer, rose up the ranks quickly. Sounds like the perp would have to have been pretty strong to take on Hajime. But either way, I'm so glad you're back in the First Division, boss. I've always admired your work. You were like a god to me. You were the whole reason I became a detective in the first place. Ah, yeah, about that. People have been saying that ever since you first entered the academy, but... Yes, it's because it's true. I couldn't believe you got transferred out of the first just as I was assigned to it. So getting to work a case like this now, just the two of us, is a dream come true. Happy as I am to hear that, how should I put it? What is it? If that's true, I'm not sure you've been showing me the appropriate amount of respect. Huh? But I do respect you. Don't tell me you're going senile, boss. It's exactly what I'm talking about. When you run your mouth like that. It's getting late. You must be sleepy. Don't worry, boss. I'll make sure we get out of here soon. Yeah, I get it. So all the occult stuff. Have you heard about it, boss? What are you talking about? This rite of resurrection thing everyone's talking about. No, not you two. I've been hearing about that shit everywhere. Oh, you have? That's surprising. Who cares what people are talking about? It's got nothing to do with our job. Don't you think the occult stuff with this case feels, I don't know, realer somehow? The whole thing started right here in Honjo in Sumida City. So I thought that maybe cut it out. Nothing good can come of getting involved with that rite of whatever, or that record of fates. Sounds like you know all about it. Boss, are you secretly into the occult? Stop that. Seriously, this isn't a joke. I get why you'd be intrigued by something called the Rite of Resurrection after a buddy of yours died, but bringing the dead back to life, that's the stuff of fantasy. It's not real. So don't go hoping for miracles. Got it? Alright, so that part's done. Let's keep going. But, boss? Yeah? Is this case really important enough to assign to someone from the investigation division? I mean, a friend of mine died, so it's important to me, but it's all up to the higher-ups. I'm sure they've got their reasons. Boss, you know something, don't you? It'll all become clear in time. Try not to worry about it too much. Thinking about it, the only thing we know for sure is the identity of the victim. That means there must have been something special about him, right? Maybe he knew something he wasn't supposed to, some kind of secret or something. Isn't that right? You're pretty sharp sometimes, you know that? If you've picked up on that, you should be able to put the rest together yourself. Hajime was quite the bad boy in school. Apparently, he ended up with the police a lot. He said the officer in charge was good to him, helped him get back on track. The reason he wanted to become a cop was to pay his kindness forward. Said it was the first time he ever took his studies seriously. It's a good story. Love that kind of thing. Makes me want to have a drink in his honor. Please don't make fun of my dead friend. Hey, I said in his honor. You should aspire to become the kind of cop people miss when they die in the field. You say that like it's a sure thing I'll die. Besides, if I end up biting it, I'm sure you'll be the one who misses me the most, boss. Come on, don't be like that. You'll hurt morale. Well, I guess how much I'll miss you depends on how this investigation goes. I can already see it. Erio, no! Why'd you have to go and get yourself killed? I have no idea what's going on in that head of yours. Yeah, that'll be a sight to see. I can't wait. You can't wait for your own death? Get it together, kid. Yeesh. You really are something. Thank you? What about the victim's family? The Yoshimi family is from Kita Senju in Adachi City, but Hajime's parents died a long time ago. He lived there all alone, no siblings or anything. I went to his house a few times for drinks. I was surprised it's this huge, old-looking place. Like, you know, the kind of place that seems super haunted. And he lived there alone? It looked like the home of an old noble family. It was hard to imagine him being such a delinquent living in a house like that. There's that bias I was talking about. If he's from an old family, I'm sure things were complicated. That's a bias, too. He never talked about any of that, even when we were drunk, so I don't know much about it. Oh, one more thing. Yeah. Hajime was engaged. He'd been seeing his fiancée ever since they were in school. Over 10 years. They just started talking about getting married. What was her name again? He showed me a picture once. She was a beautiful woman. That's so. How terrible for her. But she may know if there'd been anything going on with him lately. We should speak to her. Yeah. His fiancée may have been his only confidant. I'm sure someone at the Sumida Police Department has already contacted her. I'll look into it tomorrow. I feel like there's a reason why they didn't say the name of the fiancé. Hey, boss. I looked into the case that Hajime was running. Oh, great. That's the kind of stuff I want to know. What was Hajime working on the day he died? Well, according to his report from the day before, he had 2 cases involving juveniles. The first was a suicide in a high school girl who jumped off a building in Kamezawa last week. Yeah, I did hear about that. The girl's name was Michio Shiraishi. She was a second-year student at Komagata High School. But it seems as though Hajime had had contact with her even before this incident. So she'd been troubled for some time. That's the thing. About a month ago, he happened to see her walking around town. She looked upset, so he struck up a conversation with her. He was sure there was something bothering her, but she wouldn't tell him what. Must have been troubled at home. That's what he thought, too. It seemed he visited her home and spoke to her parents, but they said that was no problem, so there was nothing else he could do. And now she's dead. Then it's possible he could have prevented her suicide then. He must have been devastated. And that's why he was looking into this Michiro Shiraishi again. He must have thought that something terrible had happened that drove her to the end of her life. But ultimately, he never reported the findings of his investigation. I see. And you're thinking that it may have had something to do with his death. We'll have to find out what it is Hajime discovered. Right. Let's check with the Sumida Police Department about that tomorrow, too. And what was the other case he was working on? This one, it also related to Komagata high student. A troublemaker named Hitomi Okuda. She seems to be the leader of a group of kids who get up to no good. Juvenile delinquency. Fun. She was pretty bad for a while. Multiple charges of destruction of property, assault and battery, you name it. Hajime had been working with her for about 6 months. She was finally starting to open up. Then, he met with the girl the day he died. Well, every school's got its problems. But I'm sure he'd be worried about how she'd get on without him. Right. Just when she'd finally found an adult she could trust. She might act out without someone to help her get through this. We'll have to make sure the Sumida Community Safety Bureau does their job. But, we can't rule out the possibility that meeting with this delinquent girl had something to do with his death. Then we'll have to interview her too. Yes, you're right. She may have been the last person to see him alive, after all. I'll ask Sumida to introduce us tomorrow. Though, who knows if they'll actually let us talk to her. That's what we hired you for. Lay a little boyish charm on them. They need convincing. Yeah, I'm sure they'd prefer me over a scary-looking old man like you, boss. Watch it. I'm still your superior. You ought to act like you respect me, at least. Oh, I thought I was. You were? Shit. Is that just how your generation speaks? You really are a new breed. Probably just me, actually. Well, I don't think you can get away with that with other people. So anyways, boss, were you even listening? We've got quite a bit to look into tomorrow. First, the 2 Komagata high school cases that Hajime was handling. And we need to speak with his fiancée as well. I believe that's it for tomorrow. Alright, so we've got this little case summary. 2 check marks down. Time of death was around 11 p.m., 2 days ago, outside of the park's operating hours, of course. His body was found early in the morning, yesterday. 11 p.m., the day before yesterday. What was Hajime doing out here at that place in the first place? It's a question, isn't it? The entrance to the park is closed after hours, but it's a small gate. It'd be fairly easy for him to get through if he really wanted to. That would, of course, be breaking and entering, but what do you think, boss? Someone called him here, or he came here to hide something. I mean, we have no reason to believe that he's hiding something, so I mean, it could be the answer, but the game hasn't indicated that yet. It's hard to imagine a cop like Hajime would trespass for no reason. Since it seems like someone else was here with him, could they have called him here? Oh, that does seem likely. They must have been talking about something pretty sensitive to come here in the middle of the night. So Hajime met someone here to discuss something in secret. And then they got into a fight? No, they wouldn't match the cause of death. There were no wounds on the body that would indicate a spontaneous scuffle. The perp must have planned something. Did you think it was meditated? That would mean they called Hajime to the park with the intent to kill him? Well, there's still the possibility that it was just some kind of accident. Maybe the perp tried to threaten Hajime. Things went south from there. We should be able to get a clearer picture once we know exactly what killed him. Right. I've been wowed by your shrewd detecting abilities all day today. Oh, really? Funny. I've been wowed by you, too. On the topic of family, what's yours like, boss? What the hell is wrong with you? Prying into my personal life all of a sudden. It's just, I've never heard you talk about them or anything. Oh, are you strong? Or did he say, are you single? Are you single? Shut it. That's none of your business. Well, ever since I joined the force, I've been thinking. The department really pressures young officers to get married. I wonder why that is. You don't say anything like that, though. How should I know? I caved to the pressure myself and got married 20-some years ago. Huh? So then... God, you're relentless. She took her daughter and left 4 years ago. Thanks for reminding me. Oh, I'm sorry. Can't believe she'd give up a guy like you. I was never home much. Too focused on work. I'd come home late, only to get called right back out again. Plus, being a cop is dangerous work. I don't blame her for getting fed up with it all. How sad. Especially when you're out here, putting your life on the line. Oh, is that why you transferred out of the first? It was already too late by then. You better be careful, Adio. You say that, but there's not much I can do, is there? That's the nature of our job. There aren't many who can really understand it, not unless they're involved with police work themselves or related to someone who is. But wait, you have a daughter, boss? You really think I want to talk about her after all that? Have some sense. Come on. I promise I don't mean this the way it sounds, but how old is she? Geez, you don't know when to quit, do you? At least try not to look so intrigued. She's a bit rough around the edges. I think most men are intimidated by her. Last I heard, she's living by herself and going to college. Wow, a college student. Men love an educated lady. Stop that. What kind of cop are you making baseless assumptions like that? She's living on her own, though, huh? You must worry about her. Worry? I don't even know where she lives. Oh, so she hasn't told you. Probably because she knows you'd follow her around everywhere. I would not. I don't think... Come on now. You both know that's not true. Listen here. You may look like a mean old man, but you sure have a soft side. What? Is that supposed to be a compliment? I can't keep up with you. We're done talking about this. Except he's not. Oh, that reminds me. If you got married 20 years ago, it must have been right around the time of the Nishima murder. You know your history. Yeah, that happened a year or two after our wedding. You were the one who arrested the killer, weren't you? We studied that case at the academy. I was only in elementary school at the time, but I still remember people talking about some dangerous criminal getting arrested. All that was just cracking the case, finding the guy. It was all just happenstance. I'd really rather not think about it. It was a disturbing case. Did it not make your skin crawl when you learned about it at the academy? It did. We were all terrified. Sounds about right. No one could believe that such a mild-mannered man could have committed such a terrible murder. If we had overlooked one little thing, we may never have caught him at all. I think I remember hearing there was only one charge brought against him in the end. That's right. We didn't have the evidence. I knew there was no way such a meticulously planned crime could have been there first, but we may have snuck Fumichika Nejima in a cell, but it was no victory. He always had the upper hand. And all the damage he did to everyone involved, especially the victim's classmates. It's already been 20 years, huh? God damn it. This is why I try not to think about it. I'm sorry. Actually, we haven't looked at the surroundings yet. I'll do that now. The former Yasuda Gardens, here in Yokoami Ichome, were originally built as part of the daimyo's estate back in the Edo period. The park became city property a number of years ago and underwent extensive renovations. There's not a soul around at this time of night. Quiet doesn't even begin to describe it. Okay, what? I'm curious. Which of the 7 mysteries is the gardens? That's the bridge. It could be this one. I don't remember. Okay. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. This pond. They say it used to flow into the Sumida River, but the river became so polluted that they cut it off. Jun Iryo, a detective in the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, 1st Investigative Division. His rank is sergeant. This is his first time leading a case. It's like he's graduated from rookie to newbie. He looks put together on the outside, acts like a kid most of the time. Honestly, the force could use more people like him. Alright. Well, it is our duty to get to the bottom of a suspicious death, especially when involving an officer. I've got a bad feeling about this case. My gut is rarely wrong. I knew this would be a treacherous case from the moment we were dragged into it. Okay, what do I need to do? Okay. This is where the victim was found. Well, it's clean now. It's almost like nothing happened here at all. But once an incident like this has come to pass, there's no going back. Not that knowing that is any consolation. Well, boss, I think that about does it. Right. Let's call it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. God, what is that? Huh? Boss, what's wrong? Don't tell me you're going senile. Damn it. It was that case all along. Boss, what is it? Is there something over there? Such deep sorrow, a resentful memory. Kill them. Kill them. Those who spread lies, kill them all. You've acquired the power of the cursed stone, the evergreen beech. Oh, okay. You can use it to kill those who intentionally try to mislead you. Interesting. Okay, yeah, the evergreen beech is the one at the... Okay. Kills by hanging one who tries to mislead the curse bearer with false statements. He deceased us. His so-called rite of resurrection. The man who tricked the people with his false dark art swings from a rope. They thought the man had escaped the previous night. but oddly enough, he was found hanging in the garden of the daimyo's mansion that morning. The man, a local named Jinkichi, had known for his kind temperament and skill in crafting Natsuki clasps. While his life wasn't always easy, he was optimistic, the type to smile through whatever life threw at him. He was the kind of man who would take care of those who didn't have anyone else to rely on. The prosperity that ukiyo boom brought must have been what fanned the flames of his greed. The old craftsman was found in a miserable state, as if sentenced to some cruel fate. Perhaps he'd ended his own life, unable to bear the weight of his crime. But dead men tell no tales, and the people thought of him as a bad man, even in death. He hung there for days, till his neck stretched horrifically, a visage of pain still etched on his face. It was clear he must have struggled greatly as he died, his flesh marked with dark scars where the rope wrapped around his whole body. The beech tree's leaves do not fall, and neither did the man's body, hanging from it, as the mansion's owner was not at home, another unfortunate event. The people held their tongues, fearing divine punishment, but the rumors persisted nonetheless. So the original folktale description of this was just like, it's just about a tree. And then we get this like horrifying dramatic backstory for what the curse is about. A murderous impulse seeps into my soul like thick black tar. Now, kill. Can you hear it, curse bearer? You who so strongly desires the right? Kill them. Boss? Boss. It makes me laugh every time he does the little smoochy lips. Boss, what's the matter? Don't tell me you really went senile. Sorry. I'm fine. Erio. Yes? I have some bad news. Oh no, your senility is kicking in, isn't it? No. We've got a bit of trouble on our hands. Looks like we'll be working some overtime. We're not going home tonight. Huh? What are you talking about? "12 a.m. Okay, so let me get this straight, boss. The rite of resurrection really exists. And to use it, you have to kill people using the power of curses from the 7 mysteries of Honjo. And the curse you have is from the story of the Evergreen Beach that's told in this area? Is that right? Yeah, pretty much. You're quick on the uptake. You weren't your usual silly self when you were explaining, so I knew you were telling the truth. I'm never silly. The only thing I have trouble believing is that you're taking this occult stuff seriously now. I mean, talk about paranormal. I thought you didn't believe in that. It's not that I don't believe in it. My familiarity with it is why I've tried not to get too close. Are you just being a sore loser? Not used to admitting you were wrong? Oh, shut up and listen to me. No point in trying to hide things anymore. We won't get anywhere if you don't understand this, so listen up. Please, just listen. You don't have to keep saying it, I'm listening. We don't have time to waste. We'll talk as we walk. Hey, wait for me, boss. It was quite a musical shift. Sorry. I just want to double check one thing. You're telling the truth, right? This isn't a side effect of your senility. It's the truth. Not like I can prove it, though. I'm sure you already know this. This is all top secret. No sharing it with anyone. Right. You can trust me not to. But, no, I just can't believe it. I'd heard rumors that you used to be a member of a secret division attached to the Security Bureau. I can't believe we actually have a department called Paranormal Affairs. Yeah, I'm sure it comes as a shock. I couldn't believe it myself. I thought the higher-ups were messing with me. Really had me worried for a while there. You know, this is incredible. That's the whole reason I became a cop. I was always fascinated by secret agencies and stuff. Are you serious? But thinking about it, it totally makes sense. If curses and spirits really do exist, then of course we'd need a special department to protect citizens from them. You seem a bit too eager to believe all this. And hang on, I thought you joined up because of me. Come on, boss. Do you only have one favorite food? You can like more than one thing. Yeah, whatever. In any case, the official stance is that the supernatural doesn't exist, so Paranormal Affairs operates in secret. Still not sure why they stuck me here. Those 4 years, I worked nothing but cases involving the supernatural. Five members, including the chief, a network of psychic contacts, Mio Kurosuzu, Kuiru Nakagoshi, family of psychics who have been involved in keeping the world safe from paranormal phenomenon for generations, served as Mio Kurosuzu's mentor since discovering her. Kuiru is an elusive figure. Very few have met him in person, and he is rarely seen in the office. Not actually flesh and blood at all, usually occupied by a Nue, legendary creature found in Japanese folklore. Nue resembles an ordinary white thrush and acts as Kuiru's messenger, leading to bizarre scenes of police officers earnestly reporting their findings to a bird. Nakagoshi case served as a code name used to refer to the cases under investigation by Paranormal Affairs. Alright. Though watching action movies and detective series as a child and some sense of hope. Still mentions a strong respect for Tetsuo. Alright. Not that much new for his profile. So, do you have it? Of what? Spirit sense, of course. Are you what they call spiritually gifted? Nope. Never felt anything at all. Even if I did, I'd be a lightweight at best. 1 beer and I'm down for the count. Oh, huh. Is that how people in the field quantify someone's spirit sense? Like how much liquor they can handle? Nope, that's just me. Thought it'd help get the point across. I wonder if Yoko knows him, or if she's his daughter, because she also uses the same metaphor about alcohol. They don't have the same last name, though. So that doesn't mean for sure they aren't connected in some way. It could also just be a weird coincidence. Oh, huh. Sorry. Seems like I keep disappointing you. No, it's not your fault, boss. At the risk of disappointing you yet again, I'll tell you one more thing. Spirit sense is usually something you're born with. It's tough to develop it later on. What? So there's no hope for me? No, say it isn't so. Of course you were interested. Well, you never know. You may have some hidden potential. I know there's a high schooler who's got so much spirit sense she works on the front lines. I say work. She wasn't paid because it was supposedly part of her training. Yikes. Seems like it'd be in violation of Article 69 of the Labor Standards Act. Wow, you really know the law. No comment. Unless you get bitten by a radioactive spirit. Well, that would change everything. Even the occult field has workers' rights issues, huh? So, what do we do now? We've got this rite of resurrection, and the curse echoes of the 7 mysteries of Honjo. Curses being spread out around the city is a bit of an emergency. It's that bad? I'll put it this way. It's like handing out guns all over town. Jeez, that's real bad. It is. So we need to find the source and put a stop to it before something terrible happens. Usually that'd be a job for paranormal affairs, but I talked to them on our way out. The main team is tied up till tomorrow night. So they told me to deal with it myself. Said it'd be fine, since I have some experience. Huh? What? Then that overtime you mentioned means... Yep, you're gonna help me, partner. Alright, let's do this. You seem a bit too eager to dive into all this. You really have no reservations working a case you know nothing about. You said this was an emergency. I didn't think we had a choice. I'm just trying to be logical about this, boss. You really are something. Might actually be nice having you around. Why, thank you. Let's see. So there's some guy lurking over there. Let's ignore him for now. He's not stupid. Sure can be slow sometimes. I think the positivity of his may come in handy at some point. Revealing the existence of a secret department is against the rules, even to a fellow cop. But this is an emergency. I need his help. I'll tell him. So, what exactly do we do? If these curses are connected to the 7 mysteries, then the people who have the others should all be here in town. Right. If there's 7 of them, that means there are 6 more out there. And we have to stop them all before they kill anyone with their curses. If we can, we should find and collect all the curse stones. But boss, from what you said earlier, killing a curse bearer gets you closer to completing the rite of resurrection. Won't your life be in danger if they find out you're a curse bearer? Pretty much. Can't let that happen. Should you even be out here right now? Hiding would only be a waste of time. The mystery of the one-sided reed is associated with Yokoku Bridge. I was hoping we'd be quick enough to run into the one-sided reed's curse bearer. No such luck, it seems. Well, if nothing else, maybe the word will spread and the cops are on the lookout, people will behave. That's putting a lot of trust in whoever these other people are. But it's possible that other curse bearers with the same idea will come here. Talk to anyone you see who seems suspicious. That means someone who may have the power of a curse. Understood. In that case... Why don't I ask that guy who's been watching us this whole time? What do you know? There is someone there. Good luck. Hey, you there. Sorry to bother you. I've just got some questions with the police. Thanks for your cooperation. We'll be asking you a few questions, Mr. Yutaro Namigaki. That's your name, right? Yes. I don't mind answering your questions. You're a detective? Did something happen? Oh, right. Lots of things have been happening around here. Like people dying. What to make of this guy? The man identifies himself as Yutaro Namigaki, 21-year-old college student. He was watching us so calmly. We need to be careful with this guy. So what is it you were doing here? It must be the incident at the former Yasuda Gardens. The dead policeman? I can't imagine a detective would come all the way out here otherwise. Huh? Say, Mr. Detective, have you ever heard of the Evergreen Beach? Let's play bad cop. How about you answer my question first? What were you doing here? I was answering your question. I came here to look for the Evergreen Beach from the 7 Mysteries of Honjo. Actually, I was wondering if either of you knew anything about it. I mean, saying not here sounds really weird, so I'm going to say, I don't know. Nope, sorry. Really? How strange. Detectives, you have the cursed stone of the Evergreen Beach, don't you? How did you know? Edio, you idiot. Ha ha ha. Well, it was much easier than expected. Ah, crap, sorry. It was simple inference. I figured you would have taken the curse if you were just in the gardens. If you know that, then, you must be a curse bearer yourself. I have no intentions of hiding anything. Plan to tell you from the start. Look. This is my curse stone. I believe it's called the foot washing machine. That's right. But are you sure about this? Not so rash that I'd kill someone as soon as I found out they were a curse bearer. Not without talking to them first. You're the same, aren't you, detectives? You wouldn't use a curse as a normal person. Let's speak as equals, shall we? Oh. Okay, that's a big choice. So, he's lying. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to use the curse. But if I'm role-playing as this cop, it doesn't really make sense to just murder this guy right now. Right? I don't think it would. I'm gonna keep going. Boss? Sure. We'd rather resolve this amicably, too. That's really interesting, though. But before we talk, there's something I should tell you. This is my curse stone. The Evergreen Beach. Just like you thought. What? But, boss, why would you tell him now? As for how the curse works. Boss, are you having another senior moment? If you tell him that, it hangs to death anyone who would try to mislead me. So if you try to lie to me, the curse stone will let me know. I don't have to tell it. I don't have to use it to tell. Understand? Whoa, really? That's super useful. I see. Understood. It's a pretty useful power for a detective. Now then, let's talk. Damn. Seems I've lost the upper hand. No point for petty tricks then. I'll be honest with you. God damn it, this guy is such a scumbag. He just can't help himself. So far, so good. Oh my god. Literally every word that comes out of his mouth is a lie. There's someone I want to bring back, so I'd like your assistance in collecting soul dregs. Can't help you. Please, all you'd have to do is tell me who the other curse bearers are. Sorry, but as a police officer, I can't just look the other way and let you go. Please, if you help me, I'll let you two go as well. Is that a threat? No. Oh, there's only so many times I can ignore what he's saying. It's your final warning. Okay, but he's still lying here too. Do I have the volume? Hold on. Options. Audio. Okay, the voice volume is already off, so he can't kill me anyway. So I'm just gonna keep going. My curse. The foot washing machine. Did you really think you could escape it just by being careful? It didn't matter to me which of you was the curse bearer. I'll be taking both of your soul dregs anyway. Wait, Namigaki. Foot washing mansion is a powerful curse and so simple to activate. I was saying machine earlier, but either way it's silly. It is ready whenever I need it. There is no escape from the voice of my feet. This is the most ridiculous sentence that I've read in the entire game. Idio, get out of here. Hurry. I'll find you later. What? Okay. Too late. Hear the voice of my curse echo. The voice of his curse echo? But wait. Why isn't my curse echo working? Impossible. This has never happened before, except it happened in a different timeline. What's happening? I don't hear anything. Idio, now. Grab him. Right. Okay, I'm glad I didn't just murder him, because this is a lot funnier. Namigaki, get down. Damn it. Boss, here. His curse stone. Good work. Give it to me. Damn it. Why? What do you think, boss? Should we lock him up? I haven't even touched you. You can't consider that assault of a police officer. Let him go. All we need is the stone. How could this happen? My right of resurrection. Give it up. The right was too good to be true from the start. I don't know what happened to you, but you'd be better off mourning whoever you lost right now, the right way. Now get out of here. Damn it. Phew, that was a close one, huh, boss? Would probably be dead if he had activated his curse. Yeah, I'm not sure what, but something stopped his curse from... Boss, are you okay? Does having another curse stone hurt? Yeah. The curse from this one is flowing into me too. Oh no. I saw what activates the curse of the foot-washing mansion, and the resentful memories bound to it. I see. I always thought this one was one of the stranger of the 7 mysteries. Now I know why. It sure is something. What did you see? Let's save that for later. All you need to know for now is that it's a particularly powerful curse. Lucky we took it from him quickly. Phew. Alright. Kills by crushing one who hears the command, wash. Okay. She was an accomplished onmyoji. Alas, she did not use her talents for the good of the world or the people, but for her own selfish pursuit of beauty. After a fierce battle, the woman dragged herself through the streets. It was like something had gnawed away at her body. Will I die? I've already obtained what I needed, as long as I have this. Suddenly a terrible realization dawned on her. Her legs wouldn't move. She fell to the ground. What was happening? Surprised, she looked down. Her foot, once so beautiful and delicate, had grown ulcerated and rotten. He got her. He was on the verge of death, and covered in filth to boot. Crawling to a nearby house, her breath caught in her throat. The curious residents opened up, but recoiled from what they saw. My foot is so filthy, someone please, quickly. The woman expired while mumbling something unintelligible, and so ended the life of a woman consumed by evil. It's still kind of a ridiculous story. Well, that makes one stone. Where do we go now? We'll visit all the places associated with the mysteries, while it's still dark out. You mean we have to do that all over again? I hope they aren't all as aggressive as him, but people will do crazy things to bring back someone they love. It seems that the hatred the cursed stones are imbued with makes people more willing to kill. Really? Then what about you, boss? I'm fine. I may not have any spirit sense, but I'm tough when it comes to this stuff. That's why they loved me in Paranormal Affairs. So you were spiritually gifted after all. Alright, let's head to the next place. Okay, so we're gonna confront someone I don't think I've formally met. Midoricho Park. Excuse me, sorry to bother you. We have some questions for you. What? Are Are you with the police? I haven't done anything. Don't worry. This isn't an interrogation or anything. We just want to talk. You're Hideki Raishi, right? The historian? We know you are, so this won't take long. Since we saw you here, we'd like to ask you a couple questions. Alright, a historian who works as a part-time as a curator at the local folk museums and as a teacher at the Komagata High School. His recent publication on the rite of resurrection has caused a stir in occult circles. Hideki is the quintessential obsessive researcher. Despite being entirely unsuited for teaching, he had no choice but to take up a position at Komagata High School in order to make ends meet. While having a captive audience in his classes goes some way to satisfying his need for respect and recognition, his conceited nature makes him unpopular among the students. Lately, he is concerned that articles he contributed for purely monetary reasons have earned him a reputation as a researcher of the occult. With the surge of interest in the topic and the resulting volume of article requests he is receiving are undeniably tempting. Hideki is a regular at the Kurokyo Cafe on Hakusai Street, where he can be found outside his work hours, writing essays and manuscripts. His published books include A Study of the Unknown and an Introduction to Bando History. Well, let's get it over with. I'm a busy man. Oops. Now, Mr. Raishi, what were you doing here at this time of night? Doing research, of course. Day or night. Information never sleeps. That's an admirable philosophy. You know your research has been quite the talk around town. What was it they were saying? You discovered something about some book? Was it the Book of Fates? It's obvious you don't know a thing. Oops. It's the Record of Fates. How rude. Yeah, that's it. Sorry about that. I should have done my research. But it's true that you found some kind of ritual in that book, right? What? Don't tell me you want to know how to carry out the rite of resurrection, too. To be perfectly honest, I'm tired of people asking me about it all the time. None of you even care about the local history. You just come crawling out of the woodwork when something interesting comes up. Looks like I hit a nerve. If you think you can force me to tell you because you're a policeman, you're sorely mistaken. Are you doing all this research? You can use the rite of resurrection yourself? You're a policeman. Do you really think people can be brought back to life? Everyone I meet. Pitiful. Huh? So you don't believe in the rite? Whether it's real or not has nothing to do with my research. Such things are better left to the occult freaks. Or so I thought. Things changed. It has become necessary for me to pursue the rite. So now I pray that it is real. What changed? I'm sure you can imagine. The funds for my research. I receive a large amount of funding for seeking the rite of resurrection. And if I find it, I'll receive a sum so great I'll never have to worry about money again. Oh, then that means someone is sponsoring your research, is that right? So what if they are? You have no idea how hard we work to secure funding for our research. I have no interest in teaching those children. Listen to me. I'll tell you one thing. Those experts you see writing provocative books or spouting nonsense on TV to try to get popular, all of them are just trying to get the money they need to do their research. With how popular the occult is, saying something even remotely spooky can lead to big money. What? But I bought your book. The pursuit of the unknown begins first and foremost with belief. I was so inspired by that bit. I do appreciate your patronage. Unfortunately, however, the occult is not my true interest. The fate of the unknown is to be destroyed by thorough research and deep consideration. No way. I can't believe it. You're surprisingly innocent. That is why I hated researchers in academia. Then what kind of research do you want to be doing? I'm sure it wouldn't interest you. But to put it simply, the focus of my research is how historical accounts transform into folklore over the years, as they are passed down from generation to generation. What does that mean? Due to human bias, the account of any event is inevitably changed by the person communicating it. This is not necessarily done with ill intentions. It happens when someone tries to fill in the gaps in a story that lacks detail, or when something's left out or abridged because of the story's length, or when a story twists and shifts as it's spread through oral tradition. Even when two stories are told about the same event, differences in culture or environment affect how it's told, changing its content. Silly little things can turn into terribly mysterious legends. My research is the study of how history, culture, and legend all influence each other. I see. Take the 7 mysteries of Honjo, for example. Why are some of the mysteries seemingly about nothing particularly interesting? You'd think stories wouldn't last a decade, let alone hundreds of years, so why? Perhaps putting it that way piques your interest? I admit I am curious. So that's what you've been researching all this time. Makes sense. As I said, it doesn't matter to me whether the right exists or not. If people in the Edo period believed that was written in the record of fates was real, that's all I'm interested in. But I have to be realistic. The research I'd like to do is unfortunately not very lucrative. That's why I need to take some risks. This record of fates, where did you get your hands on it? The storehouse of an old private residence in the city, just as the public was told. I'm unable to be more precise due to an agreement with my informant. Was the research you were doing just now also related to the rite of resurrection? Well, yes, that's right. What exactly were you looking for? I have no reason to tell you that. You wouldn't understand anyway. Okay, let's have a think. He says he's a local historian, but supposedly he knows more about the rite than anybody. The fact that he's here at this time of night, it's plenty possible that he's a curse bearer. Boss, says Hideki some questions. Okay. Well, in that case, I think I might have a guess as to what it is you were looking for. Okay, what was the context of his last comment? What were you doing just now? Also related to the rite. What exactly were you looking for? What? Damn it. If you know about that, then calm down. No need to get defensive. Do we show our cards or do we not? And see if we can give a different explanation. I think I'll wait a bit. We both want information, right? Why don't we have a nice friendly chat? You may say that, but I don't trust you. Perhaps you've already learned about the curses. Perhaps you want to take my power away from me. No, it's not true. I almost revealed my hand. I'll say nothing else. Sorry, I'll be taking my leave. Okay, so I'm going to probably have to come back and hop in here. Hey, stop! He's so fast. Sorry, boss, he got away. Incomplete, yeah. But I mean, I can just hop right back in. Resume. Last conversation. We both want information, right? Why don't we have a nice, friendly chat? A curse stone. You are a curse bearer. A leaf. It is the evergreen beech, then. Yep. Will you show me yours? This is mine. The ever-burning lantern. Okay, so when we were first playing as Shogo, we got, thrown into a warehouse, and in the dark, we ended up ended up killing someone we never saw, and I think it was this guy because it was in the area where the ever-burning lantern, I think, was supposed to be. So I'm pretty sure that's who that was, because I was like, there was someone who tried to kill us that I never saw, and I'm pretty sure it's him. Alright. Interesting. Oh, these choices. Okay. I mean, revealing the curse details last time did work in our favor, because we were still able to easily tell he was lying or not. We don't know the lantern's details, though. This guy's a researcher. He wants information, so maybe this will get him on our side. I'll tell you this for free. The Evergreen Beach comes from a man who was hanged for spreading false rumors. But the accusations against him were unfounded. He died cursing those who deceived him. Ah, so that is the resentful memory held within the Evergreen Beach. The memories of the 7 mysteries are truly fascinating, if only I could collect them all. Do whatever you want, but you should know something. The stone of mine lets me curse anyone who tries to mislead me. What? But... So don't try and lie to me. I'll know. You would curse a citizen? You call yourself an officer of the law? It all depends on you. I don't want to use it if I don't have to. What is it you want? The curse stones are dangerous. I'd like to confiscate yours. Excuse me? But by right. First, let me ask you one thing. You haven't used that curse, have you? No, of course. I haven't, I swear. Okay. This guy's also a scumbag. I see. Good. Now, why don't you hand over that stone? Unless you'd rather try using it on me instead. Damn you. I won't give it to you. If I were to say that, what would happen? Would it be a crime? The police are aware of how dangerous the stones are. I could arrest you under Article 1, Section 2 of the Minor Offenses Act. Or you could hand it over, and all you lose is your secret ability. Think of what would happen to all your research if you were arrested. Fine. You can have the stone. Here. That was easy. You just had to be nice. Well, not nice. We just had to not kill him, though. Alright. Kills by disembowelment. Jesus Christ. One who finds themselves trapped in the darkness of the curse echo. When Honjo was filled with samurai residences, the spies of the shogunate lived amongst the townspeople to keep an eye on things. The soba cart on South Warigesui served as one of their outposts. They would indicate to each other in code by turning the lantern on or off. Tonight at 4 a.m. meant that someone would be having the last soba of their life, and that their belly would be sliced open the next night. An unfortunate incident occurred in which a man attacked a woman in a bout of fury. He regretted it deeply, even declining to invoke the right to defend his honor. But the deed was done. Still, he could not accept it. His rage at having been used by his daimyo boiled over, turning into a grudge he would never forget. Nearby he saw a lantern quietly glowing in the night, and when the 6th bell rang, the man cut his own stomach open. Since then the lantern could be seen alight before the soba cart had opened, and would flicker out suddenly, even when there was no wind blowing. As this unsettling phenomenon occurred, the rumors surrounding it grew, and soon all were convinced that it was the man who cut open his stomach visiting from beyond. Good choice. I look forward to seeing how your research pans out. Humph. Oh, right. Would you tell us everything you know about what's been going on? If you help us out, we'll give you all the information we've gotten after we solve the case. What do you say? In that case, you tell me about all the resentful memories of the 7 mysteries. I believe they are the key to the secret hidden in the Record of Fates. Sure, why not? I'll learn about them as I collect the curse stones. Thanks to you, learned a lot from him. I wonder, the mysteries and right are all public information. He kept everything he knows about the other curse bearers and the source of the curse here hidden. I was hoping he'd at least give us a clue about how to beat these curses. Oh, I see. Then we should be more aggressive next time. Really make them spit it out. And by we, I mean you. I'm guessing he wants to save this curse. He wouldn't have told us anything, no matter what we asked. But now we know where he hangs out. We can always send someone for him, if need be. Right, got it. I was surprised to hear that there are actually 9 of the 7 mysteries, though. Yeah, it's 2 extra curse bearers we have to find. We've confiscated 2, so there are 6 more. They could be anywhere in this town. We have to find them fast, or they may start using the curses. No, I think we're already too late. Huh? I didn't tell you this, but there were some soul dregs in Namigaki's curse stone. Really? Then he already killed someone with it? It's not much, so it probably wasn't a curse bearer. Shit. I know, they kill me every time he does that. Well, we know who did it. We can make arrangements to take him into custody. We'll have Paranormal Affairs pick him up tomorrow. For now, we continue our search. Right, on to the next place. We just have to cross them off the list one by one. Oh, but, boss. Good to know we can use the Minor Offenses Act to arrest people with curse stones. But why didn't we use that with Namigaki? If we could do that, there'd be no need for Paranormal Affairs. What grounds would a normal detective have to put him under arrest? Oh, right. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I wonder why we can't go over here yet. Is it that I need to make a different choice, or is it like this one where... Because this one specifically told me I was at an impasse, that I couldn't continue this one. But this one is more like this one where it was a split route, but this one's linear. Interesting. Okay, it's 11:20. Do I want to start Yako Sakazaki? I find it interesting they're playing the cops very honest, as if they couldn't just lie about Namigaki to take him. Yeah, they're very much operating under like this honorable code, which is, I mean, it's a narrative choice. It's okay, I'll allow it. For the lulz. Surely this will never get abused at some point in the future. Okay, though. I think I am going to pause here, because otherwise I'm going to be up late, I think. So let me switch windows. So let's see. What have we learned? So we did the first route was Haruwe, and mostly we learned backstory because we didn't really go out looking for anything in her story. We just learned about her case and about the river and the stuff in the past, but aside from that, we're kind of stalled with her. Tetsuo, I feel like we accomplished a lot. We learned a lot of backstory about the case they're investigating. We got 2 different curse stones in addition to one he already had. I'm not sure how to get to the next screen for his yet. But next time I play, which might be tomorrow, it just depends on how I'm feeling, we'll do the high schoolers and see what new pathways that's going to open up. But that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for bed. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks Aria for the raid after your race earlier. And Sus. And there were a few people who were lurking earlier as well.
I'll be back tomorrow, I think, with more of this. I might play something else on Saturday, haven't decided, and then Sunday I'll be back with crosswords. Because I have not touched my backlog since I last streamed. Alright, good night, everyone.